Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with a Wednesday comic haul. We're going to make this one fast. I pity the fool ain't watching this. Look at this. Mr. T and the T-Force. Free gold foil trading card was not included. I didn't get that. Sorry everybody. I know, I'm as disappointed as you are. It's a Neil Adams cover though. Look at that. Who knew Neil Adams drew Mr. T so well? That's amazing. First issue collector's item. Very nice. Very nice. Next we have some Weapon X, or should we say Weapon H to B. That's the Weapons of Mutant Destruction, Weapon X number 5. Here's picking up some back issues today. Here is Weapon X number 8. That looks pretty good. I like that. That's a good looking cover. Here is Marvel Comics Presents Cyclops. Versus the Minions of Master Mold. Scary. And that's number 19. Marvel Comics number 19. Next we have Secret Invasion. Number 7 of 8. I really like this cover. I picked it up because I love... First of all, I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. My brother was a big Spider-Man fan. He was just okay. I didn't like all his jibber jabbering, and so to see them going at it is pretty cool. And to see the Skrull version of Spider-Man, I really like that. It's just a great cover. I think they really did a good job on that. Here is Weapon X number 16. I want to say this is like volume 2 or something like that. It's not the current volume. It's the one prior to this one. That's number 16. Weapon X number 16. Most of the Weapon X comics in this volume, I'm not even so sure Wolverine is in these comics. I kind of think he isn't in this Weapon X volume. But so almost none of them have a cover with Wolverine on it. So to get one here and it's a pretty good cover, I think. Had them all snarling, the spit flying everywhere, and the shirt ripping. I think it's pretty cool looking. So to get that's rare in this volume. Next we have Wolverine and the X-Men, number 39. So the super quick story on this was that, well anyway, I'll tell you on the next one. Basically what's happened here is that we have Wolverine and a Sentinel. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know that if I see Wolverine and a Sentinel on the same cover, I'm getting it. So that's what we got right here. Wolverine and the Sentinel. I can't pass it up. I think that Cyclops getting it handed to him too, which I like also. So that's pretty cool. Here's another Wolverine with Sentinel cover. I assume that that's a Sentinel hand reaching out. Sure looks like one. So what I like about this is I was trying to get back to my collecting roots and not just grab everything I see. A lot of times, I watch the videos on YouTube and I'm like, oh man, I start learning more and more about what comics are more rare, what comics are more valuable, what are harder to find. If not rare, they're at least hard to find, and hard to find at a good price. So when I see something like, who knows, whatever it is, a Secret Wars book, or even especially some of the DC stuff that I'm not probably that much into. I'm much more of a Marvel fan, but when I see that stuff, my reaction now is I got to get this. And I never had that before watching YouTube videos. It used to just be like, well, that's a bunch of crap nobody cares about, and I'm not interested in that, and I just keep moving on. But now I see a bunch of stuff that you guys are showing all the time, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool, and this is worth something. But then I had to remember it's worth something to someone else. So unless I'm going to turn around and sell it, I'm kind of just padding my collection with a bunch of things that other people like, and then they don't get a chance to buy it or enjoy it, or unless I sell it. And if you've ever tried to sell like a single comic on eBay that only a few people like, you might double. If you bought it for $1, you might double your money. So unless it's a real key book that everyone's flipping right now, I'm probably not even going to fool with selling anything. So there you go. So the point is, this was Hellfire Saga Part 4 of 5. I haven't got any of the Wolverine and the X-Men books. These are my first 2 of them. But they look pretty. The covers all look pretty good. I'm enjoying the artwork on them. So I thought that I'd go ahead and pick these up because they had a Sentinel on them. But where I picked this up for $1, they had all the others, 1 through 3 and number 5 of the same like story arc. So I almost bought them all, but because I'm a reader anyway. But I said, you know, I've already got a bunch of stuff to read. I'm behind in my reading, so let me just get the covers that I like, and then later when I'm around to this run that I'm looking to fill, I'll fill the run. So that's my little spiel. Here is Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. So what's interesting, this is number 5 of 12. So what's interesting about this to me is that when you see this black border, see that looks like a very original cover. But when you see this black border, you already know that the comics at that time did not come out with that border. So you know something's already up. Then another clue is down here. Don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it closer. You see that not for resale. So when you see that not for resale, then you know that this was probably packaged with something else. And in this case, these black borders, they were packaged with Marvel toys, action figures, posable action figures. Sometimes they were in the Marvel Selects line. Sometimes they were in the Marvel Legends lines. These particular ones, I think, are the Marvel Legends, like 3rd series or something like that. And I like this particular series of comics, and I like the toys too. But I like this particular series of comics best because most of the other ones that were Marvel reprints, they'll have a variation on the cover. If you've ever had a True Believers cover, then you know that, and I'll show this in a video probably this weekend. But you'll see a True Believers across the top. Like for instance, the Hulk 181 True Believers. It has True Believers written across the top. And then it says Hulk versus Wolverine or Wolverine versus Hulk or something like that. And then it'll say number 1. Well, that's not even a reprint. It's a reprint on the interior, but the cover is completely changed by that, in my opinion, from looking original. Whereas this is a pretty faithful reprint of the original Marvel Superhero Secret Wars 5 of 12. Complete with the price tag, which you don't see that on most reprints. So as the original price tag, the date, everything, the Comics Code approved, has everything on it. The 70 years Marvel Comics, it's pretty neat. And then they turn around, and this is actually, even with the signature, I mean, it looks great, but it's actually a reprint from a toy that was packaged with a toy. So I really enjoy these. I'd like to collect these. And what's funny, here's a little buyer's tip. If you're ever looking for these, don't look for them on eBay or My Comic Shop or any of the online retailers to pick up these comics. And I'll tell you why. Because they were packaged with toys, there's a relatively, if you will, low print run. There's not that many. And also because they were packaged with toys, first of all, a lot of them are bent. This one has several spine ticks, and it's a black border, so you know how difficult that is to get a high grade on stuff like that. But it's got several spine ticks. Why? Because it was bent. It was in a package that had a thin piece of cardboard behind it and a plastic front in front of it, and it was beat up by the toy store or Walmart or Kmart or wherever these things were sold, and just destroyed. And then when the kid opened it, chances are he bent the crap out of the comic too, or she bent the crap out of the comic, destroyed it, and just didn't do a very good job taking care of it after that, because they weren't buying a comic, they were buying the toy. And so in rare cases, you might find this in a pristine, in a pristine case or condition. But most of the time, if you're buying it online and anything like that, you're not going to get it in good shape. And if you do, you're going to pay out the nose for it. So, this was a dollar bin find. Like I said, I'm not going to be one of those, oh, they didn't know what they had. No, it's a dollar book. It's got so many ticks and flaws on it that's what it's worth. But as a reader, I don't care. And it looks good enough to me, I think, to read and to enjoy. So what happens is that if you're looking for these, my advice to you is to not search for the comic. Don't say Marvel Select, Marvel Superheroes comic, Secret Wars comic, or Marvel Legends, what you should look for is the actual toy. And then try and find the toy that has the best packaging, and then buy that. And if you buy a toy that was kept by a toy collector, you're going to pay less for this comic than you would if you tried to buy the comic separately, and it's going to be in better condition. So find a toy collector, or find on eBay or wherever you buy toys at, and find one that has a toy that's a toy collector, and they'll speak to the condition of the actual package of the toy that includes this comic. And a lot of times they don't even mention that there's a comic included because they don't care about the comic, they only care about the toy. And you can buy it, you can give the toy to your kid, or you can keep it. Usually they're pretty nice toys. Area 51 might take it off for Poser Wednesdays. So enjoy that. That's my little tip on how to pick these up. And these, in my opinion, much better than the Marvel Milestones or any of those other reprints that give you those big, huge silver border and says all that. I mean, those are nice also. But if you're looking for the truest reprint of a comic, Marvel especially, if you're looking for the truest reprint of a comic, and the only difference between this one and the original is this small black border and the fact that it says not for resale. That's pretty true to the original. So if you're looking for that, look for the toy, buy that, and then pull out the comic. And I've got one coming in this weekend, hopefully. And when I get it this weekend, I'm probably going to send it off to get slabbed. Because I think it's going to come in that good of a condition, and it is a relatively rare book, and to buy that book by itself was over $60, and to buy it with the toy was like $25. So there's just a little bit of a tip from old BUB'S Comics. All right, well, I tried to keep it under 10. That didn't work, so I'll let you all go to enjoy all the comics you picked up today. I picked up a bunch, and I'm happy about it. I'm going to start reading, so I suggest you do the same. Thanks. Bye.